Welcome to All Day 1102.
This is the Pod Family. I am your host, Keshawn Chadwick.
And today we got a special guest. I've been wanting to get him from a long time. It's really been past due. Today we got an entrepreneur, businessman, a barber, an instructor, a hustler, a go-getter, a father. Everything you can name. We got Mr. Bryant, Donell. Some call him Dino. If you know him in New Bern, you call him Dino, but call him Mr. Bryant because he ain't played when we was in barber school. So we go by last names.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so Mr. Bryant, man. Go ahead and jump right into it. For people that's viewing this and watching this, kind of explain your upbringing and like for people who don't know you already, tell them how you kind of came up and just your upbringing in the city.
Well, like I said, I was born and raised right here in New Bern, and I came up from the Dufferfield, Craven Terrace area. That's where I was raised. That really is Dufferfield, but then we, migrated over to Craven Terrace for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
I have mom and dad in the picture, coming up. I got 3 siblings, 2 brothers and a little sister. Like I say, stuff. It wasn't real easy.
Right.
It wasn't real easy. It was kind of tough coming up. But at the same time, I took every advantage I could and every opportunity I could to make any situation better.
Right.
And that's what, kind of put me in the position of the barber game.
Right.
Like I say, just wanted to, help people. It was like art. That was my main thing. I really love art, man. That was my thing. And that was what took me away from the environment, the madness that was going on. But
so you grew up drawing in school too? Like you always could draw?
Yeah, as I started drawing, man, doodling really like 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing a lot of doodling, and it just got to the point of going to the barbershop, and there was a older lady in our community that had a barbershop, built into a home. And with that, I asked her one day, what made her be a, barber.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, barbering was an art. And when she said that, it was like the light bulb went off in my head, and it was like, from that point on, that afternoon, when I went home, my little brothers, they had, got haircuts as well.
Right.
I just found these old clippers my dad had, and I just started drawing lines in the head. And that right there, I thought I had done messed up, but for the most part, when they was going outside and playing, it was like, the kids and people in the, neighborhood, like, yo, who did this? And
Right.
like, my brother. So next thing you know, they're like, yo, can you put lines in my head? Then, one of my homeboys, Brad Edge, he was actually the very first one I actually did this arrow. Like I said, I didn't know anything about a fade. I didn't know anything about, Caesar. I knew nothing. All I knew, you can draw in the head with this tool. I drew this arrow in his head, and it was just as big as 2 fingers.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember his mom came in. His mom came in from work, and he was crying. He was mad. His mom walked in. She was like, "Bro, that looks nice." From that point, I never turned back.
Right.
I never turned back, and I just kept going, man.
So you took like 4 questions away. You're a great interviewer. You're a great interviewee. But I want to take it back. So you said opportunity. That was the main thing that I heard. What's important about taking the opportunity when it comes?
Being ready, being uncomfortable, of the not knowing. That was always a thrill for me. It was always a thrill when those type of situations come up, and not knowing what was going to come behind it. It was just something with picking up those clippers. It was an opportunity because those tools had been sitting right there, and I had seen them forever. But I just took a risk and went out there. And I always said, from early on, no risk, no reward. And so seeking different little things that would come up and the opportunities, like I said, it was just super important to know what you wanted to do. You know, just knowing what you wanted to do and having vision. And that's something that I've really been blessed with for years, of seeing things before it even happened and seeing how things play out or come together before it happened. My job, I felt, was to just go through the process.
So being again from what I hear, a calculated visionary, where do you think you got that from?
Honestly, I really don't know, man. I just say I was blessed with it, you know? And even till today, some don't understand, you know, even with, you know, barbering, how serious I take this and how serious I am. It's a point when I go to bed at night, I look at my phone and see what appointments I have for the next day. When I see those appointments and I see what cuts it is, if it's 8, 9, 10, 11, I'm seeing those cuts. I go to sleep visualizing on how I'm gonna execute those cuts for the next day.
That's nice.
And I wake up super excited because I'm, you know, that's what I went to sleep on. And that's how, you know, serious it is. And like I said, it's been that for years. When I was little, like I said, I used to fix on bikes a lot. And I used to imagine how you can make bikes a certain way. And that's what I would go to sleep on, thinking about how I'm gonna make this bike. I'm gonna take this crank and take a 10-speed crank and take some short legs off another crank, put in a 10-speed crank, make the bike paddle faster. I mean, slower so you can go faster. And it was things like that that just would come to me. And again, like you said, a calculated visionary. It was always there. I can't even honestly, I can just say I was blessed with it. It did.
Okay.
That sound like me with video, and I try to see a film like how I'm gonna shoot this angle. I think about that the night before.
Right.
Whatnot.
So even if you look back on the Breakfast Club interview with Erica Badu, she said that she doesn't understand why it's hard for people to just find something that comes easy to them and just go with that. A lot of people try to train their brain into something that isn't really there. But if you find something that comes easy to you and just go off of that, you'll find yourself a good thing.
And you'll find, and I think that's what success, you know, come to those who have that ability.
Right.
And again, going back to that point of, it was 10 years old when I picked up those clippers. It came easy because, again, the art, but then later on is when I started understanding what a fade was and, you know, adjustable clippers and, you know, the different things that make this job so much better. It was like, okay, so it's so much more to it. Yeah, I'm like, yo. I mean, I would do designs in people's head and just leave everything bald, like a bowl. You know what I'm saying? No kind of fade, no nothing. And people was happy with it. But then when I started understanding, okay, you got to blend this together and that together, it started coming super easy. And my thing was, at 10, I knew this is what I wanted to do. And I stuck with it. Yeah, it was other things. I played football and, you know, did other things. I never thought I would be an NFL player. I didn't want to be, honestly. You know, I played next to individuals that did make it to the NFL. That's not what I want. I wanted to be a barber. And I felt that it would be something that I love doing, I like doing, and here it is, 39 years later, bro. I still love it. It's like the fire is still there.
Right.
It's still there.
So with that being said, let's talk about your first time, like opening your first barbershop. Like, do you remember what year that was, and what was the hardships of getting your first barbershop?
Yeah, I opened my first shop. It was 2004. It was 2004. And again, it was a blessing. It was a blessing. I had a friend, shout out to Shane Chapman, and to this day, I always go back and acknowledge him and let him know I appreciate what he did, because he had the capital. I had the people. I had the hood. He didn't have the area, so it was more like, yo.
Right.
And he gave me the options of being able to run that business like it was mine. And for a long time, a lot of people thought Precise Barbershop was mine just because I was always there, you know, and I would clean, I would do everything that I, you know, was supposed to do as an owner, because I knew one day I'd have my shop.
Right.
It just so happened one day I walk into the store right up here on News Boulevard. And when I walked into the store, the guy said, he asked my name. He was like, yo, what's your name?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, my name Dino. What's up? What's going on with you? Why you asking my name like that?
Right.
He was like, I've been hearing a lot of good things about you. He said, I want to talk to you about something, man. I'm like, what you mean? I never didn't know this dude from Adam.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, I want to talk business with you. I'm like, business? He was like, yo, how would you like to have your own barbershop? He said, I heard you was a real good barber. I was like, man, barbershop. Where are you going to give me a shop? Well, how is this going to work?
Right.
He was like, right next door. He said, right next door. And I knew it as a nail salon. Like the day prior to that, it was a nail salon there.
Right.
And I'm like, it's a business already there. He's like, no, they gone now. He said, they gone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, man, that happened fast. I was like, let me go look. So I walked out the door, went and looked, and it was empty.
Mm.
So I came back in. I'm like, yo, are you serious? You know, I had to see. You know, he was like, I'm dead serious. He said, man, I want you to have your own shop. He said, I think you deserve it. And he would see me, you know, coming in and out with my kids, you know. And at this point, this is when I've had, you know, custody of them, you know, for a couple years.
Congratulations. We're not going to run over that. Congratulations.
I appreciate that, man. And he always saw, you know, the kids with me when I would come in the store. And from there, man, he said, look, I want you to get the best of whatever it is you need.
Right.
And I'm like, this dude's still bluffing me, yo. I'm like, it don't come this way. It
Right.
don't come easy like this. First thing I did, I went up to Sally's like the next day. I went to Sally's, got the manual with all the barber chairs and everything. And I thought to myself, I said, okay, if this dude is serious, I'm going to go ahead and get the high price items and present it to him. If he accepted, we go. And my thing was, I'm going to get barber chairs because even if he back out and say he's not going to do this or whatever, I got barber chairs and I'm going to take these chairs and I'm going to go on about my business and do my own thing. That was the biggest startup back then.
Mm-hmm.
And just so happened, man, the chairs I picked out, I got 4 chairs. They came up to almost $6,000. And at that point, I asked them to print me off an invoice. They printed off the invoice. I took the invoice back to my man, showed him. He said, oh, this it? I'm like, yeah, this it. He said, follow me. I'm like, okay. So he followed me. I mean, he told me to follow him. I went into his office in the back of the store. Mm-hmm. He had another dude come up and wait, you know, on the register. He took me in the back. He went under his desk. He pulled out this big bag, a brown paper bag. Mm. And when he pulled the bag out, I'm sitting there kind of thinking, a million things going through my mind, you know. The last thing I'm thinking is this dude about to give me some money. Right. He dumped the money on the table, nothing but bundles come out. He's like, what, you think I'm going to count this? You got to count this yourself. I'm like, yo. You know, my mind, I was still in the streets a little bit too, you know what I'm saying? So my mind automatically went back to, okay, this dude about to get got. You know, he know it. But at the same time, you know, on the other shoulder, it was that angel like, yo, that's a call. Run with this opportunity. Run with it. So I sat there and counted it up.
So this person, it sounds like, because that's kind of a question that I was going to get to is like somebody that pretty much he helped fund it, pretty much. He
did.
Because I was going to ask like, with your business that you did start and everything, like did you, because you know, some people have that help. Like my pops, he had that help. He had somebody behind him to help him. And there's some people that just get it out of the mud from like ground zero. So, I mean, that really does answer my question. Like you pretty much did have somebody to pretty much help fund it and take it from there.
So. Sounds like you had an angel sponsor.
And that's what I say until this day, man. You know, it was, again, I hear people all the time say, you know, stuff don't happen like that. You know, stuff don't happen to me like this. And that was that moment. Whereas, again, somebody else believed in me and I didn't even know who this individual was.
Right.
You know, he went off the whim of hearing my name and people talking about me. And my thing was, I always wanted to treat people right. I always want to respect people. I never, you know, like I told you, I ain't about no drama and all that, man. I just want to, you know, be easy and treat everybody right. And with that came that blessing. Like you said, it was an angel, man. And he, you know, from there, I never looked back. Right. I never looked back. I took that opportunity and was able to grow. And it was a small spot. It was only like 500 square feet. It wasn't big at all. But I had a friend that told me years ago, he said, Dino, it don't take a lot of room to make a lot of money.
Right.
He said, so whatever chance you get, make it happen. And I kept that in my head because at first I'm like, this is super small, man. You know, and honestly, we grew, you know, the cup came overflowing within like months.
I think it's crazy, man, because like I've known you since I was 11, right? I moved to New Bern when I was 11, and anybody who knows Dino for real in New Bern, they know precise. He was the first one as soon as you opened the door. And I'm pretty sure, I remember when the Shop Boys came out, you used to put stars in my head. If you
I got the picture.
Oh, I need that
I got the picture.
I need that picture for this video.
I got the picture.
Because, like, if it came to parts, when it came to designs, Dino was the man to go to. And you were the first person to cut my hair in New Bern. And I literally went to you until you left because I didn't know where you went.
Yeah.
And I mean, I wasn't old enough to drive, you know what I'm saying? So, like,
that's
when
crazy,
he left,
man.
I was like, God.
That's crazy, yo.
I haven't had a part of my head since you.
He was getting the start. I remember he would get the start. And the pictures that I actually found was when it was a couple different ones, but this particular one, like you say, it was like the cleanest star that I had done. He used to get it right on the left side.
In my day.
Exactly.
You know, when I tell you it was flush, it was flush.
He used to get it on the left side of his head, yo.
You still remember it like that?
Yeah, I'm about to say you still remember it too.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna need to find that picture so I can edit.
I'm gonna get it to you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get it to you.
So, instructor.
Big man business.
What made you want to become an actual instructor? To not only take game anymore, but to give game, to share the knowledge. Because I feel like a lot now, folks don't want to share that knowledge. And just you becoming an instructor, what made you want to do that?
It was a barber that was working beside me. And his uncle used to come by the shop all the time. And his uncle would always be trying to encourage him to be an educator. And he was telling him, you know, I would hear him say, you know, look, I work at Creamer Community College and we're going to try to get this barbering program going. And for years I had been like, they need a barber school here. And people kept telling me they're not going to have a barber school in New Bern. It's not going to happen. Cosmetology is the dominant force out there. That's how it's going to be. And I just so happened to, you know, hear him. And like I say, this barber cut right next to me. His uncle would sit right at the front of the floor because he, you know, I had a rule you couldn't come up on the platform unless you was getting a haircut.
Right.
So he would stand at the edge of the platform and he would ask him, you know, you started studying, you started going to school, you know, to learn how to, you know. He was always blowing it off. You know what I'm saying? He was like, man, I ain't studying all that, bro. You know, I don't want to do all that. But in my mind, I'm like, man, educating again. Because of your past, sometimes it bothers you and it hinders you to make a decision, you know, right at the moment. And that's what I was kind of feeling like. I had, you know, did, you know, a little fed time, a little state time. And because of the federal time, I'm thinking, even if I want to be an educator, I'm not going to be able to be an educator in an environment such as a collegiate level.
Right.
And with that, it was more so like me thinking, okay, if I do get through, I got nothing to lose. But if I don't try, I already lost.
Right.
And with that, I started thinking more about it. And out of the blue one day in the mail, it was this postcard. And it was saying it was going to be an instructor's course in Raleigh at Wait Tech Community College. And I remember the day I got off work, it was delivered to the barbershop. And I remember getting off work that day, me and wife was riding down Glen Burnie. And I had it sitting in the door. And I just, you know, I picked it up and I'm looking at it like, man, the instructor. I was like, man, I would love to do this, but how am I going to do this? Right. I'm kind of talking out loud to myself, but at the same time, well, wifey can hear me. And wifey was like, what you talking about? I was like, man, you can be an instructor, a barber instructor, but you got to go to Raleigh to do it. And she was like, what you mean? How you going to do it? I was like, we ain't got but the one vehicle, you know? And she was like, nah, babe. She said, we're going to make that happen. Right. She said, even if we got to, you know, get another vehicle, something to get me from work to work to get the kids and all, you take this, you know, truck and go on to school. And now I'm like, okay, she done gave me the go on it, so now I can't pull back. And I started thinking about how am I gonna do this? I'm in the barbershop full time. Got my wife, got kids. The class is in Raleigh, and it was Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, and it was from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock.
Mm.
I drove for 12 weeks straight to Raleigh. I leave New Bern at 3 o'clock, get to Raleigh, go to class 6 o'clock, stay until 9 o'clock, jump on the road, come back to New Bern.
6 to 9?
6 to 9.
Oh, you talking 3 hours in the morning?
Yeah, in the afternoon. In the afternoon.
Oh, shit. Oh, gotcha.
So I would come home, I would get back home roughly around like that 11:30, 12 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
But that right there put me on that path. Once, wifey was in agreement with me and I saw, again, an opportunity, said I'm going with it. And that's, what I did. And she, again, with her confirming and being in agreement with me, it was just a matter of months. And mind you, at this time, I'm still with no license. I had no license for like 18 years.
I remember that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I was driving real dirty
I remember
for a long time. And I had no license, but I'm like, God, I'm doing something right. I'm doing something, good and positive.
Right.
So be with me,
Right.
And he was with me, man. And to the point where I was able to get a provisional license. And that was like, oh, man, I got some official paper here. So I was able to get a car, through that process. So it was like doors started opening and, blessings started coming. I just had to take that initial step.
Sacrifice.
And that was it. It was a major sacrifice, man. It was a major sacrifice. And what a lot of people don't know is I had to relearn the whole My Lady's book, because going through barber school, our educator, he wasn't pushing us in that, in that manner, and he was real hard on me anyway, just because being from New Bern. He didn't care about New Bern people. And then me having my own, I could cut a little bit, and he didn't like that because he couldn't cut. And all of the students would always come to me like, yo, show me how to do this design or that. And I'm showing them out of the love of me wanting to cut. And he'll kick me out of school, and it took me, again, it took me 5 years, man, to finish up a 9-month course. Just on the strength of this man had that much, I ain't gonna say hate, but, animosity towards me, man, for no reason. And that really put me in a situation when he would kick me out, where here it is, I got all this time on my hands, so I get in the street, start hustling, just trying to, make things work. That's trying to get knocked off. Now here it is, locked up, probation, can't leave the county. Things kept happening like that,
Right.
But I wasn't gonna give up. My thing was I wasn't gonna get up, and not knowing how those students then was asking me to show them things, I was already preparing myself for the teaching role. And didn't have a clue. Didn't have a clue.
Do you feel like it was needed? Like, when you becoming an instructor, do you feel like you're a role model in a way? Because to me, you was like a father type. A lot of people would look at you like a role model or father type. And do you feel like that's the case and that this was needed?
I felt it was needed on the strength of being taken serious. And of course, I wasn't always taking it serious. I was treating it as a hustle.
Right.
I was really treating the barbering industry as a hustle. I was treating my shop as a hustle. I was selling DVDs, CDs, socks. You remember all that, and then, when all the clothes came, we came with the, all the knockoff clothes and everything. I was
he had
really
the good bootlegs.
Yeah, the good bootlegs.
Nobody's standing up in his shit.
We had the official bootlegs, I mean, the clear joints, you know what I'm saying? So it went from there, man. Like I say, that was it was well needed, because seeing that and living that lifestyle of how we were doing, when I got introduced to the instructor in Raleigh, that very first night when I, got to school for the instructor course, just seeing this man's demeanor and seeing how on point he was and how serious he was about the industry, it was like something clicked. Like, yo, in New Bern, they are not talking like this. They don't act like this. Everybody is just about a haircut, and that was it. Then he started talking about the history of barbering. And again, I already went to school, but during school, it was like none of that stuck. None of that applied, because this instructor had me so distracted. My thing was, I want to get here, get my hours, and get out of here. I wasn't able to learn the way I was supposed to learn.
Right.
And man, it was like seeing how he was going with the industry. I say, you know what, New Bern need that.
Right.
So that brings me to a serious question. How important is the haircut to the black community?
Man, the haircut is everything. And, man, I tell you, African Americans do not play about their hair.
No.
I mean, no race really, but I tell you that African Americans, I will have more Caucasian clients to say, do what you want to do. You know, just do whatever you think.
Just cut it.
But, you know, the African American community, I want my fade like this. I want my points this sharp. I want you. They don't play about it. And again, the hair, it means, like I say, so much. The image of individual is everything. And so that's why I say, that haircut is very serious in the African American community. Very serious. So my thing was, I want to make sure if I'm doing it right and people keep telling me I'm good at it, I want to be able to show others and hear the same thing about others, other than me being such a high demand, which at one point I was a super high demand, which I loved it and I hated it at the same time. I loved it because I get to do my craft all day. Right. I hate it because I never had time to do anything else. Mm-hmm. And it was more so like, I really want to keep making sure that I get as many people that want me to get them right. I want to be able to get them right. And so we're going, like I say before, I just felt like this is something I want to continue to do. And it took, as of today, it has took that demand away from me because we have produced some real good barbers. Right. And not saying that it was just barbers that I produced, but barbers that I cut next to. It was some, some good barbers, but some just felt like, you know what, I want to rock with you, Dino. I ain't even trying to know they good, but I want to rock with you. I really always pay close attention to the detail, and I paid close attention to what individuals had to say. Mm-hmm. And that's something, again, today that I really teach the students, that we got to make sure we pay attention to what you're saying. When you told me that you wanted a Caesar and you wanted the star on the side, I would go behind you and be like, you want me to put a double outline around that star? You want that star to pop out?
Yeah. you know?
So I would, again, not knowing back then, that was part of the consultation. Yeah. And that's what we do before every haircut. We must understand, after greeting and meeting our client, exactly, we got to understand the consultation. And I would always run it back to the individual exactly how they said it to me, just to take that pressure off of me. Because if you're cutting a person's head and you think you know what they want, and you can feel it on them sometimes, especially if it's a first-time individual, you'll feel it on them, just the tenseness of them being in the chair and how they always trying to watch a mirror. Every time you turn your back, they're trying to look in the mirror to see, to see where you're at with it. But when you have that consultation and you get the expectations of what that person want, you run it back to them so they know that you know. Mm-hmm. It takes that pressure off, and you can really, you can do your thing. You can be comfortable with doing your thing. And that's just, I think that was one of my
customer service
strong points with doing that. And again, this was before I even knew anything about customer service like that. Mm-hmm. This was just, it came natural. It came natural, man. I tell you. And like I say, my man Shane, again, he was showing me a lot because he hadn't went to school and, he was legal. And I wasn't legal. You know what I'm saying? And again, I said, he let me in, you know what I'm saying? Right. Knowing I had the people, and like I say, he had the capital, but we came together and we made it work. Like I say, I was in the middle of the hood. I was cutting in between Craven Terrace and Trent Court, right in the middle. Right. Then we had all of Dufferfield. We had Pembroke, so we, we formed like Voltron, man, and we just kept it moving. And like I say, I didn't even know about customer service and, the professionalism and things like that, but I know what people wanted. Right. That was my thing. I knew what people wanted, and my thing was I want to make sure that I can deliver.
Who inspire you right now, like as far as barbers, or like who influenced you? Like, who do you watch? If you watch tutorial videos and stuff, what barbers right now in the game are you looking at other than yourself?
I got 5 individuals that are my top 5 mentors. I have DL Master Barber. Mm-hmm. I have Ivan Zook. I have a guy named Todd Bernard. He's out of New York. I have a guy, Morano Hodge. He's from out of the Baltimore area. And Tariq Jackson. He's out of the Philly area. But those are my top 5 individuals. All of them have different styles, different techniques, and they have, like you say, all of them got a different niche about them.
Right.
But they're all very strong educators, and they take this industry very serious.
I love how far out you went. I was expecting something more local. You really went out there. I like that.
Yeah, and they are my individuals, but that's the thing about getting out of the box. Because if you get trapped in this box, which with Blueburn, like I said, it's the box. Everybody was doing the same thing. You know, we got like 8 barbershops all in like a 3-4 mile radius.
Yeah.
And my thing was always, you know, I want to be different. I want to do different. I don't want to just get into that point. So in order for me to start seeing these things, I was going out of the box, especially when the internet came. I was able to connect with these individuals. And it was always my points of like, man, I wish I could just shake these guys' hands one day. I wish I could really talk to them to let them know, you know, it's somebody that's watching you that really love the industry like you do.
Right.
And man, God made it happen. Every one of them, man, I was able to meet them, shake their hand, and actually build relationships.
Oh, you actually met them.
You know, off of these
You met
individuals.
all 5
you know?
of them?
Yeah, every one of them.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Every one of them, man. I was able to build, you know, relationships off of, you know, a couple that actually still stand today.
Mm-hmm.
And that really just set me on fire. Because I'm like, man, I'm from a little place called New Bern. Nobody really knows about this place,
Right.
you know. But at the same time, it's still, I know it's a lot of talent here. And just seeing what these guys were doing, it was kind of scary at first because when they price points, their price points was totally different than here. We was charging like $10 and $12 for haircuts.
Yeah.
Then when I started, you know, following these individuals and seeing how they was moving, and I'm like, man, $20, $25, $30, then $40, $50. So my thing was, how could I get to that point? And people used to say, man, people ain't gonna pay you like that in New Bern, man. It ain't no money in there.
Right.
People don't realize New Bern is a retirement city. It's a lot of money here in New Bern.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing was, you have to go out and find the individuals that you want to cut.
Right.
The people you want to deal with, those are the people you got to go out and, you know, you got to go find these people. And that's what I was doing. But the thing is not just finding them. You have to have some kind of substance to give them when you do find them. So when I would find them and I would get them in the chair and then just talking with them, conversation, and they hearing about, you know, history of barbering, something that you would have thought older people would know. They had no clue about it. So they started understanding, yo, this young dude really take this thing serious.
Right.
And from there, man, I just kept
And they love
building.
hearing it.
Yeah.
They love hearing it.
Yeah. Because a lot of people, you would think they know. And one of my main questions that I always, anytime I do a speaking engagement that's pertaining to barbering, talking to kids about barbering, my main question is always to ask, just to kind of break the ice, is how did George Washington die? Can you tell me?
Man, don't do me like that. Don't do me like that on camera.
No, I'm just saying the point.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the point of
No,
that's what I do. Because
Yeah.
people like, he got shot. Nah, not George Washington, that's Abraham
Lincoln.
Lincoln.
About to say, that's
You
Lincoln.
know?
Mm-hmm.
But then when I start breaking it down to the point of how George Washington died by the hands of a barber, which he had an infection, which we call bloodletting, is a service we used to do back in the day because we was the barber surgeons.
Mm-hmm.
And with bloodletting, it was a procedure where you would hold a staff sitting in the barber chair. They would make a slit in the arm, make the blood run down that pole into a little basin, which would be a little chrome bowl. If you look outside barbershops, you see the red, white, and blue sign.
Mm-hmm.
They got a chrome bowl on the top and the bottom. Those represent the basins. The red, white, and blue.
Yeah, we learned this in barber school.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm saying, I know you know.
Yeah, just had to refresh.
But when they would, you know, when your person would bleed out, they would wrap the, you know, arm with a bandage, which would be a white bandage. They would wrap the arm, the blood would absorb. So when they would clean those bandages or try to clean those bandages, they would take the staff and sit it outside the barbershop and put the bandages on top for the, you know, for them to blow and get dry. The wind would wrap those bandages around that staff. And so that's how people was able to identify barbershops back in the days. And then We came as of today, people understand the white is for the bandages, the red is for blood, and the blue is for the veins. Some say the blue is for, when it came to the United States in 1945, that the patriotism is when it came with the blue. But it's actually the red, white, and blue, the blood, the veins, and the bandages.
So, what happened to the traditional barber? Now, I'm not. Y'all two are familiar with the history, but the last time I checked, a barber was like everything. Like that was your therapist. That was your consult. That he was the plug.
Yeah, he was the plug. The barbershop was the plug.
What happened to that? Because I remember going to, especially African American barbershops, used to learn Black History Month there.
Mm-hmm.
They'd hand you out pamphlets. You'd have that conversation in the chair.
Yeah, man.
That doesn't happen anymore. What happened? Where did it go?
Personally, I think it was more so when the hip hop era started coming in, back in like '85. When the hip hop era came in, it changed the dynamics of the barbershop. DL Master Barber, like again, he's one of my top mentors. He was the one that used to cut Biggie. He was cutting, Tupac. He was cutting De La Soul. He was cutting, all the old school guys when they started coming with the flat top, the Big Daddy Kanes and all. When that started coming into the industry, it started changing the barbers itself. The barbers were no longer wearing the traditional white barber jackets, bow ties,
Street clothes.
Yeah, it started going to now, barbering is cool, this and that. So they started getting more into the, the hip hop era. And with that, comes so much more.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the level of respect for certain places and people started dropping. And people started again doing crazy stuff, drinking, hanging out in the shop the wrong way. Mm-hmm. Whereas before, like you were saying, those guys used to come in, you had checkerboard, you had chessboard, and you had the OGs that would be over there, but they would be educating. They talking about good news, and they'll talk about bad news if it happened in the community. But for the most part, it was like a learning experience going in there.
Yeah, every time you went in there, you learned something new.
Yeah.
Like it was your social media before social media.
Exactly. You had the OGs that would tell the young fellas, you need to pull your pants up. You need to, they was correct them. And then it got to the point where it was no more respect there no more, So I think it just came, that's my personal opinion, where I feel it kind of went left during that era, And again, as of today, like you say, they look at a lot of people say barbering is cool. And it is, I like it because of the fact you can be yourself. If you want to come in dressed like Dapper Dan, or you want to come in just like Cooley, or dress down, you can do that. Right. But it's all about how you present yourself.
Yeah, you find your identity in the barbershop.
There you go. And that was where I say the traditional side, it kind of went left.
Okay. One thing that I don't want to have us forget, like you mentioned earlier, you said you was in the streets and whatnot. So if you could say to other people, because look at where you came from and where you got to now. Mm-hmm. So if you could speak to people who went down the wrong path or done bad things just because of their environment and got to where they are now, what would you say? Because you're like a walking testimony of coming from that.
I would say believe, man. Believe in yourself and trust the process. Because you can't always just see, the process. But once you start working the process, as my thing and how I used to say is, I got to give God something to work with. If I can give God something to work with, in turns, I should start being able to get my driver license. I should be able to, start, doing things that I want to do, have a car, And again, when I made my mind up to start doing right, I honestly went cold turkey from everything, man. I mean, I went cold turkey from the hustling. I called up my plug and was like, yo, I'm done, man. Come and grab this. Come pick this up. And he thought I was tripping. When they came to the DVDs and all that, it was like, yo, come and grab these DVDs, bro. Take them and do whatever you want. Take my burner machines. Take everything. And I think, again, with sacrificing that, because the money was good, but at the same time, I'm like, yo, I'm willing to struggle. I'm willing to struggle. What I make in the barbershop, I'm willing to be able to survive off of that and not all the extra hustle. And so my thing would be to those individuals, man, despite whatever is on your record, despite whatever your past looked like, despite whatever, situations you've been through that you might have thought was some of the worst situations, if you find something you want to do and you believe that you can do it,
Right.
run with it. Because again, doors will start opening for you. But if you don't take the opportunity to go step through them doors, you'll never know. So again, you got to be good with people, treat people right. And I look at it, I got here about knowing people. And people always say, it's all about, who you know. Mm-hmm. And I honestly can say that's what it's about. Even to the college, up until the point of having to run my criminal background, right. I was scared. I'm like, man, I done did all this. I done went this far. I done, passed my state exam on the, right. First run. Actually, I was the very first person out of that instructor's course, because that was the first course that was ever done out in Wake Tech Community College. I was the very first person to pass that course and be actually the first one out of that instructor's class, the teacher class, to become an instructor. Next. What's that?
To have that opportunity come next.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And so that right there, like, again, up until the point of running the background and all, I was scared, man. And the day that they called me and said, Mr. Bryant, we got your background back, and there's a lot of things up here we need to discuss. I'm like, oh, man. Mm. Right then, it was like, heart going crazy. And they said, when they said that, I said, ma'am, I said, do you mind if I come to the school and talk to you versus talking to you over the phone? She said, most likely. And I think that was one of the best decisions that I ever could have made. Mm. And that's what I do tell people. Again, when you're talking business, when you're talking something that requires a person to really read you and see you, do it face up. Over the phone, and you can tell off a text message. People can text you something, and you can take it the wrong way. You don't really see the emotions behind it all. And just so happened, she allowed me to come in, and she was the HR, and when I went in to talk to her, just sitting there, she heard, I'm telling her my story, single father, I did this, X, Y. She said, stop me in the middle of that. She said, you got some kind of street name or something? I was like, yes, ma'am. They call me Dino. She dropped her pen and sat back in her chair. She said, you've been cutting my baby hair for a long time. Mm. And I'm like, who's your baby? And I look at her desk and I see Miss Vicky Mosley. I think it was Vicky Mosley Jones or Vicky Jones Mosley. But she said, my son is Jamal. And I'm like, Jamal from Pamlico? She said, yes. She said, I never brought him to the barbershop. My husband always brought him, but he always talked about his barber. She always talked about it. He said, when you start mentioning as a single father and the trials and tribulations you done went through, my son would tell me these things because he would know. I mean, like I said, he was a younger dude, but he would always, consult and talk with me. And from that point, man, it was no more, no more to be said. She understood then. She was like, so you got a contract with the Craven County Jail, right? I was like, yes, ma'am. She said, now, with all of this that's on your background, she said, if they allow you to come into the jail and cut hair and be around inmates, she said, imagine what you can do here at this college. And with that, again, it was another opportunity, man. And I said, I would not mess it up. I would not mess it up. And from there, man, here it is, almost next month, it'll be 10 years later. Wow. And I told her from that day, I would not disappoint you. I would not. All I wanted was an opportunity, man. That's all I wanted. And I felt like I can make it happen, being that I was in my own backyard, where I grew up, where people know me. I didn't have to, I tried to move to other places, but, I always end up coming back here. And lo and behold, this was waiting. So, yeah, man, just think about those moments, man. Like I say, I just want people to understand, believe in yourself, man. Don't, it can get scary. Right. But just believe and just trust the process.
Walk by faith, not by sight.
That's it. Walk by faith and not by sight, man. And I'm thankful. That was like one of the biggest things that, them giants, like I said, a lot of people got giants they got to face, but that was one of the biggest things that I was able to overcome.
Gotcha.
And realize. What's
So I got like 3 questions before we get. I don't know if Keyshawn got any more. Real quick though, how important has wifey been, man?
Everything. Everything, bro. Everything. I mean, that's, again, she's been my rock. She's been my inspiration. I mean, she came in, man, you got to understand, and a lot of people really don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I was a single father for years before she came into the picture. And my thing was, I got 3 girls and I got a boy. I never wanted my kids to see no craziness as their dad messing with this woman, that one, this woman. It got to a point, cats around this city, you know, some especially females, they thought I was, you know, funny or gay or something because I wouldn't, you know, approach. When they try to holler at me, I wouldn't approach. It was all about my kids. My kids needed to be rehabbed. They needed to be, you know, back on track. And so when wifey came in the picture, man, it was like, yo, it was a blessing. Again, in the barbershop. She was getting ready to move to New Jersey. She had done sold her apartment, sold all the furniture, had her mail transferred. That next day, she was on her way out. And I hollered at my man like, yo, holler at Shorty, yo, see if she got somebody. And my man like, nah, Dino, he asked out loud. Like, yo, my man Dino want to know you got a man. I'm like, bro, I could have did that.
Yeah.
But, you know, her response was like, no. And from that point, man, I'm like, yo, this lady coming in with a guy that got, you know, 3 kids at that time, where my 4th child was born. And I'm like, she's willing to come in, and she has 1 child. And she's willing to take on all of this. I say, man, this lady really got to be somebody special.
Yeah.
And when she did that, and what really made me know she was official, my kids at the time was in Connecticut. And I didn't have a way to get them back. And their other individuals was saying that they wasn't going to bring them back. She told me straight up, she was like, yo, you can take my car if you want to and go get your kids. She had a nice white Honda Accord, nice clean joint. And I'm like, this lady telling me I could take her car. Now, mind you, I ain't even got license at this time. You know what I'm saying?
I was like, word, no license.
And she was dead serious. That right there, man, it was like that night, I'm like, yo, she's serious. She mean this, you know, she mean this. So again, man, she's been my rock from that point, man. She just helped maneuver so many ways of respecting my kids. She never came in trying to, you know, I'm your mom or this and that. It was always a respect thing. And she just came in and she handled those, you know, kids like they were hers and likewise with hers, you know.
Right.
She was 3 years old when, you know, she came in, but my youngest was 9 months old when I got custody of all mine. Right. So again, she came in and took a burden off of me that I was scared to face at some point. Like, my kids gonna get older and they're gonna deal with menstrual cycles. How am I going to be able to deal with this as a single father? Right. I don't know nothing about that. It was scary, but she came in, man, and she's did everything.
Shout out to wifey. Shout out to wifey.
I tell you, man, I love that lady to death, man. For life, I say.
That's love. Shout out to wifey. Other than boxing, instructing, everything, we've been serious for a good minute. What do you like to do for fun? I know this answer. I just want to see if you're going to say it.
Man, I love getting dirty, going up in the woods, man. I love ATVing. Yeah, I love, you know, and that, like I said, came from early on as seeing, you know, individuals riding dirt bikes and go-karts and all that, and we couldn't afford it. I always had to bribe people. Yo, I got a pack of now laters if you let me ride down and come back. You know what I'm saying? I give you 2 packs, you know, so it was that thing. But when I got older, I was like, I will always I want to be able to have my own one day to ride how I want to. Right. And ever since, man, I just, like I said, that's my therapy. When I'm in the woods, I don't worry about bills. I don't worry about kids. I worry about nothing, man. And when I come out from riding, it's like a great feeling. It's like a reset. You know, it's like a reset to me, man. But that's what I really like to do for fun, man. And, you know, like I say, creating clothes, again, still with designing. I just love making all kind of clothes and, you know, putting stuff out. That's really what I like to do for fun, man.
You ever go to Bosco Beach?
Love Bosco. That's my spot.
Broke my body.
Hey, Bosco is that spot, man. You go out there and you have a ball in Bosco. It's a thing where you can stay out all night. Yeah. night ride.
It's a vibe. It's a different
is.
type of vibe, man. It's
It
a
is.
freeing vibe for real.
It is very freeing.
Yeah.
Very freeing.
Gotcha. All right, so I got 2 last questions, and then we're gonna close it out. So, who's the best barber in the city?
Sheesh.
I say the best barber in the city is Miss D.
Miss D.
Camisa Dilla Bryant. I would say myself, she's the best barber in the city.
Okay.
And if you was to ask me why, it's because she's such a quadruple type threat type individual.
Do hair,
She do dreads.
cuts.
She color. She cut. She style. You know, she do everything. Like I say, I do all of them, but I don't do the dreads. I can, but I can't do them in the fashion that she do them.
Right.
You know, it's something about, again, that I tell a lot of people. I'm a big advocate for women barbers, and the main thing that I really try to stress to the guys, and it's no disrespect to us fellow barbers, but I see a lot of loyalty lies in the female barbers, and the guys, they get too comfortable, feel like they just need to show up to the shop and they got it, but they need to understand, I could teach you a lot of things, but I cannot teach that woman's touch. That woman's touch wins hands down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how good I may be, but when that woman can fade just as good as I can, she can use that straight razor just as good as I can, she wins with that touch. And it's been clients that when I got too busy, I'm starting to tell the client, look, man, I need you to go see Miss D. Hold on, the lady ain't never cut my hair. That was the thing they say. But I tell them every time, if you don't like the cut, I'll pay for it.
Right.
6 years later, I haven't paid for a cut yet.
And men forget women set the trend. Every time.
Yeah.
Women set the trend.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't they be the best to do it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
When they just believe in themselves and go hard at it, like it's like she did, that's why I say, I think, me personally, I say she's the best, barber in the city.
All right, so let's talk about the evolution of barbering, right?
Yes, sir.
You see this? You see this? I heard you know how to fix it, brother.
Yeah, I can fix it, bro.
Talk to me.
I can fix it.
How do we do that?
All right, actually, it's a procedure. I got a couple ways we can fix it. Now, the more feasible way, the way I feel that I would like to fix it would be with S&P, which is called scalp micropigmentation. And scalp micropigmentation is a service whereas it's similar to what some would call a hair tattoo. If you got tattoos, it's pretty much using the same machine, but we use different needles. We use, instead of ink, we use a pigment, which is a carbon-based product that is natural. And again, it's something that, again, man, it's changing the game.
Ain't that what Tory Lanez got?
No, he actually got FUE. It's called follicular unit extractions.
Okay.
That's what he has, where they actually took blood, plasma, and mix it together, and they put it back and take from one part of the head and put it into another part.
Like
This is non-invasive. This is you will not see blood. I don't have to do no cutting on you. It's just a lot of little dots. It's many little dots, and those dots replicate the follicle of the hair. And when we cut our hair bald, we actually still see the little dots in your head. That's what you are replicating. And it gives you a look as if you have a nice close Caesar. I got the procedure done, I don't know if y'all can see it, but I was bald since 2016, completely bald. I got the procedure done a little while ago, and my thing was I just wanted a frame again. You know what I'm saying? And a bald head, your jaw is running straight back, man. You're looking old. It get weird. But at the same time, when I found out about this procedure, I'm like, yo, I got to get into that. Because I used to do the units where I put the fake hair on people's head, glue it all on and all that. But the thing was with that, you still got a lot of maintenance, like women, they, when they get their joints done, you can't touch them. They patting their head, they covering their head. That's how men were having to do, when you get these units. And all men they're not taking care of it the right way. I tell them, look, man, you ain't able to go into the gym and work out hard like that. The next day they hollering at me, yo, you think you can glue my joint back down, bro? This side and came up on me. I didn't like that. And
I wouldn't like that.
Yeah, and for the amount of money that we had to charge to do that service, I kind of felt obligated to have to fix it. You know what I'm saying? Even though he messed it up, because again, it can make or break you. But when S&P came along, and this is something it was started years ago back in the UK. It just came to the United States a few years ago, and people you can like Tyler Perry has it, Noriega from Capone Noriega, he has it. Jamie Foxx has it. It's a lot of individuals. My man Jason Statham, a lot of individuals have it, but nobody really knew what it was. It just always looked like a nice 5 o'clock shadow. And so with that, that's how I'm able to fix that problem. Like I said, if you don't mind cutting your hair close, other than bald, just to make it look like a nice, fresh, clean cut all the time, I can make it happen. Now, again, the monetary part of it, it's changing the game in barbering because it was something that a lot of plastic surgeons was doing and dermatologists and others. It wasn't in the barbering industry. But now, when it came into the barbering industry, it changed the game because we understand what your edge up's supposed to look like. I understand what the structure of your face is. I understand how your beard's supposed to grow. And again, we can do beards. We do, ladies. This is something that is for everybody. Doing units, it's not for everybody. So in this case, man, with scalp micropigmentation, it's definitely, evolving the barbering industry. So if you know how to do scalp micropigmentation, you got clients that's going to grow older, their hair is going to leave them, and they'll start cutting their own hair. Now I have the opportunity to bring those individuals back. And that's one of the biggest things I really like, connecting with a lot of clients that I lost because of balding, for them to be able to come back and get this procedure. Now they start coming back more often because they want to keep it looking fresh. So it's a good thing, and it's permanent. Like I said, when I say you keep it fresh, keep your haircut fresh.
Gotcha.
But the procedure is a permanent procedure, and once you get it, man, I tell you, your swag is back.
Word.
Swag is back. You can walk out the house without having to put on a hat. Because that's how I was. I wouldn't leave the house without a hat. Yeah, and just having that freedom again. That erase that shame. That's what I say, erase that shame.
Right.
I mean, I just put on a hat for, the purpose of what we're doing, just to kind of, represent.
Yeah.
That's all. But for the most part, like I said, I don't even really wear hats like that no more. Because I'm that much more comfortable. Mm-hmm. I heard you say you had dreads and you cut the dreads off. Same thing with me. After I cut the dreads off, it was over. Keep your hair, man.
Yeah, don't cut it.
Keep your hair, man.
Don't cut it.
He known for cutting it now. I'm telling you, this dude, man. He known for cutting it. Keep your hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
If you got one more question, just throw it back to me.
That's it. Yeah. Now I was gonna pretty much close it out. I appreciate you, man, for doing this for us. Thanks for being up here.
I appreciate y'all, man.
Not the copy drink champs or nothing, but man, if I could give you some flowers, I promise you I really would. I don't want to take they little thing they do, but man, I want to, in person, verbally, I want to give you your flowers because to me, you're a legend. I'm gonna say it. You're a legend. You're a Newbern legend. Everybody knows Dino. And I remember the first time you put a design cut in my hair. I mean, my dad barber, I went to you to get a design. He was like, I kind of can't do that. You might want to ask bruh to do that. So, I mean, that just goes to show, man. To me, y'all OG, y'all legends. So I verbally give you your flowers while you here, man.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, man. I'm telling you, don't know how much that means, man. I'm telling you, it's very humbling. Like I say, I'm just doing what I love to do, man.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm just doing what I love to do. I love to talk to people. I love to, like I say, treat people right. I love to be creative with it at the same time. And going forward, I won't stop. My thing is, I can't stop, won't stop. That's my saying. That was before Biggie and all them.
You're going to name that this episode. Can't stop, won't stop.
Yeah,
that's his saying.
Yeah, that's his hashtag every time.
Yeah. That's it. And I mean, people, I'm telling you, I was, before Biggie and them, before that came out, I'm like, yo, can't stop. They're making a song about it and all that. But that's the life I've lived. I can't stop and I won't stop, no matter what gets in my way.
So at the end of each interview, what I like to do is just give out standout things that I got out of this interview. One was opportunity,
Yes. Opportunity.
progress,
Progress.
drive,
Mhm.
tunnel vision,
Sacrifices.
sacrifices,
Yeah.
and what it's like to have a good wife beside you.
Yeah.
That's shout out to the wives again. Shout out to y'all, because we couldn't be us without you.
Yeah, and I know I wouldn't be, man.
Yeah.
I would not be where I am today without that, sweet lady on my side, man. And I tell you, she don't even know, man.
Yeah.
She don't know. And we'll get to it another time, but I want to get to the point of talking about barbers and relationships at some point, because a lot don't understand how serious it is. I don't know how much time we got left, but just I want to say real quick, it was at a point where I almost lost that lady because of what I love, barbering. And she told me one day, she said, I don't know how much longer I want to be in this relationship no more. I'm like, what you mean? I thought I was doing everything right. She said, because you got 3 wives. I said, 3 wives? She said, yeah. She said, you got me. She said, you got the school and you got the barbershop. She said, and the wife that's there for you most, the one that's giving you the most time, giving you the most love, is getting the short end of the stick. Bro, when she said that to me, man, it crushed me. I mean, it crushed me bad, bro. I had to really step back and go in this little hole to figure this thing out. Because I'm like, man, this is the best thing that happened to me. I can't lose her to the next best thing that's happening for me, which is, my barbering.
Right.
But I had to find balance. I had to understand how to start saying no. And that right there helped me get back to, get back on track where, like I say, she's still with me. She ain't threatening to leave me or nothing like that no more. But I didn't take it as a threat. I knew it would have been a promise.
Wake-up call.
And it was definitely a wake-up call. And I respect it a lot, because now I get to share that with other barbers and students as well. Tell them it's a lot of time we got to put into this, man, to get to where I am today and where they're trying to be. It's a lot you got to put into it, a lot of commitment, dedication, sacrificing. But the biggest thing is communication.
Right.
If you can communicate it all in a way that it makes sense and they understand it, they'll rock with you. And my thing has always been, babe, it's going to be a matter of time. A matter of time. Just a matter of time before we can make these things happen, live the lifestyle we want. And from barbering, she believed in it and believed in me. It was just I was doing too much with it and not giving her enough. But now I got it, man. And like I said, every day I'm trying to make changes to make my life just that much easier, to be able to spend more time with her.
Just like when I seen you out at Applebee's a little while ago.
Right, on my birthday.
It was your birthday. Yeah, that's right.
That's what's up, man.
Well, man, I speak for both of us when we say thank you. We appreciate you for being a pillar in this community. And all in all,
we love you.
Yeah, we love.
That's what we want to say.
Man.
We don't say that enough. I'm stealing that from him.
Yeah,
I'm trying to say it more.
I was just about to say.
Oh, you was? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, for real, we love you, man, and we
love
need to
y'all
say that
too,
more.
Man. Because we, like I said, we both got history. You know what I'm saying? We go way back, man. And I really appreciate what y'all doing. And I appreciate where y'all going with this, man. And I definitely look forward to
it's gonna be some part 2. So we're gonna do some more.
Yeah.
So look, y'all, all day 11:02. This is the podcast, the Sessions for Your Blessings, and we got Dino, Mr. B, Mr. Bryant, and
you.
Thanks for watching.
Yes,
appreciate
it.
Man, I like that, man. Y'all folks, boy, y'all had me look. I had to choke back quite a few times.